Hello, good day. It's me again, Osman, on Photoshop Basics, and today we're going to be treating on layer styles. If you've been following the class, I want to appreciate you very much. If it's your first time here, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you hit the bell notification icon so that you can always know when I post new classes. Alright, today I'll be talking about layer styles, and this is just an introduction to layer styles in Photoshop. I believe that layer styles is one of the powerful function in Photoshop, and if you follow through, you'll be able to create simple, clean, cool designs, just applying layer styles. If you look towards the bottom of your layer, you will find the FX. FX is actually the layer style, is kind of effect, okay, and it has many options. All these options you see are the styles, okay. If you open the first one, blending options, the dialog box appears and you still see everything. The dialog box says layer style, and you still see everything that you find in here when you go to that function. I may not be able to click it now, but this is the first one, blending option. You have bevel and emboss, you have the contour, you have the texture, you have the stroke, inner shadow, inner glow, satin, color overlay, gradient overlay, pattern overlay, outer glow, and drop shadow. I believe that the most widely used of all the layer style is the drop shadow, so we're going to start from there. The drop shadow, actually, just as you see, because I have selected the first layer here, and you see exactly what it does just by checking that drop shadow and also selecting it. Checking is one thing and selecting is another. You could actually it can be selected like this, and but it's not applying. So when it's checked and selected, you can be able to manipulate it. You can also come here and select this one, which is checked, and you can manipulate its features here. You can see what that is doing already, bevel and emboss, okay. Alright, but let's just start with the drop shadow first, because you're not just going to click drop shadow and you have this applied. Let me reset it to default so that you see how it looks like in default mode. Now in default mode, you can just see nothing. It looks like just faint application of the drop shadow. Alright, the first thing you see here is the blend mode. Blend mode is something that we'll treat in future, so let's just, I will say, for the benefit of the beginners, just leave it like this: multiply and black. Just leave it that way. Opacity is something you will definitely want to control, okay. Opacity talks about how visible the shadow is, okay. You may not be able to see it now until I tamper with the distance, okay. But before I go to distance, we have the angle here. The angle talks about the direction which the shadow faces, but in proportion to light. Shadow is created when light is casted. Shadow is not just created. If there's light casting from one direction, the shadow falls to the other direction. So this angle control here is like controlling the light, or giving, I think, yes, it's controlling the light, like giving us a direction where the light is coming from. So like it's pointing to the top here and saying 90 degrees. What it's trying to say is that the light is coming from the top and the shadow will be casted at the bottom, and that's exactly what will happen. If we actually try to increase the distance, we will see how this is working. So you see, and if I decide to rotate this maybe downward like this, maybe somewhere around minus something, you see the shadow goes up. So the direction of the light from either bottom or top gives the shadow to fall on the opposite side. So, but most times shadow comes from the top. Light comes from the top, so shadow should be casted down. Now you can see how dark that shadow is, and well, this is just for you to know that it's drop shadow. But if it was a class where I'll be teaching you how to apply the very good shadow in your designs, we will not be doing opacity 100%. So let's take it down a little bit. The next thing you see there is spread. Before I explain spread, let me just go over to size, because I will need the help of size to explain spread. Fine, size is just simply how much feathering. Like when you take it to 0, you see that the shadow is just sharp at the edges, okay? While if you take it up a bit, I always do somewhere around very close to the distance. You see how feathered the shadow is. Same shadow that was sharp initially, but when increased to somewhere around very close to 30, 40, you see how feathered it is. Okay, now let's go back to where we can have it looks a little bit sharp so that we can explain spread. Now this thing is only spreading out in one direction, like it's obeying the direction of the light. But if we want it to, just like increase more, to spread out, okay, this is just like deceiving the light or something. We can always increase the spread. Increasing the spread increases the shadow, kind of makes it fatter, kind of, if that's the word to use. Okay, if we decide to increase the size a little bit now, so you see what's happening. So the shadow falls out of the original. Now look at what spread is doing. This is actually what it looks like when there's no spread, and what it looks like when there's spread. It comes out, it spreads out from the origin. Okay, so we can actually control it with opacity, make it darker or make it lighter. However, just the design matters. It depends on what you're designing and what you're after. This section of the shadow is something I would say just like blend mode. Let's just leave this for now. For basics, I'll say get familiar with the opacity, how to make the opacity get increased and get visible, the shadows get visible and soft, and get familiar with the angle. Take the angle to its side. Maybe sometimes you can make it look like this. It's casted, the direction of the light is coming from the top right, and the shadow is casting to the bottom right, or bottom left rather. Right? So get familiar also with the distance. Distance speaks of how far away the shadow is from the object. With this distance can also be controlled with the mouse. Okay, the latest Photoshop allows that you can drag the shadow. Okay, and it's also affecting the distance. If you watch the distance slide, it's sliding as I'm pulling the shadow away. So this works. All right. So the next thing you might want to also look at is the spread also. So take a good practice of the spread. Practice it, just increase it and see how wide it goes, and that's it. So that's drop shadow layer style. Right? There's also another interesting shadow that you also want to know. So let's just treat all the shadow thing now. The inner shadow. The inner shadow is another thing you will definitely want to know about. Let's remove the drop shadow now so that we can focus more on just the inner shadow. Now in the inner shadow, from the top also, it's like having the same feature, just a little thing. Where we have spread, it's choke here, and where we have what else again? No, everything is the same, but this angle is operating differently. Okay, it's doing the opposite. Okay, somehow light is casted from the top, or how will I put it now? The direction of the shadow is what this one is depicting, looking like maybe I think it's correct that light is casting from the top, but like the shadow is, because it's inner, like a bow. Imagine if you put a bow on the wall, okay, and the light is casting from the top, is hitting the sides of the bow, and the shadow is inside the bow. That's exactly what it's doing here. Let's increase the opacity so you see what's going on. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So because this text now is now acting like a bow, like it has an inward depth or depth inside. So even though the light is coming from the top, the shadow still casts inside. So that's what's going on here. So you can increase the distance and you can increase the size too. Okay, because just for us to understand choke too. Choke also is like spread, but just like the word choke is where the shadow begins to choke the letter. Yeah, that's what it's doing. So it's just the same as spread, but the right word choke is what is happening here, right? So that is inner shadow. So and that's it about shadows. Drop shadow, inner shadow. The next thing you might want to take a look at is glows. We have the inner glows and we have the outer glows. Let's look at the outer glows first. So first, the outer glow. Okay, the blend mode is cream. It's different from shadows now, and I would say for the sake of beginners level, let's leave blend mode out of this. But let's just work with opacity, and so let's increase the opacity. You might be noticing some, how will I put it now? Let's take it away. You see how sharp the edges are, and when I increase the opacity, how feathered they look or soft they look. Okay, if we increase the noise, you notice some jaggedness. Exactly, that's noise going on there because it's a type of glue. Okay, let's reduce it a bit. So we have other things like technique under the element section. The technique, we can do precise, and let's increase that, and you see it's quite obvious. We can also spread it. Let's remove noise so you see what's going on. Maybe I should do size, size, and reduce the opacity so you see what's going on. So this is what glue is doing. Okay, I'm trying to make it glow. Exactly, that's what's going on. You can actually change the color too. You can change the color. You can make it maybe let's pick this green color and click OK. And so you can increase the opacity just to see it. And it just styles to text and all that. I'm not doing anything reasonable right now, other than just trying to show you how the glow looks like. So same way we have the outer glow, we also have the inner glow. Okay, and you can guess it's just the opposite of outer glow. The glow is inner. So let's select it and change the color to something that will be very visible. If we make it black, it will be like inner shadow. So let's keep it at the color green now. So we can increase this and maybe increase the noise size so that we can see it. It's not really showing for it because the color is light and it's screen. The blend mode screen is acting on it. Let me try overlay. I just wanted to show. It's fighting it. It's really fighting it. Okay, we're gonna use maybe a text that isn't white to try it. So let's cancel this and select the styles. So in the styles now, I'm going to go back to it and I will select inner glow. So by default it should show white. Yes, that's what I wanted to do. So it's already showing now. Okay, because the layer here was white, and applying white to white is like it won't show. Alright, so let's increase the size, and you can already see it's choking. Yeah, it's choking it now. And let's say precise. Okay, reduce the size. Now you see what's going on. Alright, so we can also increase the noise. Okay, it's looking like jagged. Yeah, okay, it's making sense. Okay, let me just turn this into a design. Let's add a drop shadow now since we're playing with this. So let's reduce the distance, reduce the opacity, increase the spread a bit. Okay, now So this is inner glow and this is drop shadow working together to give us the style. So I think I'll stop here so that in the next class I'll be taking another styles of layer. Okay, so but so far so good. This is drop shadow, outer glow. Okay, did we practice outer glow? Yes, we did. Outer glow, inner glow, and inner shadow for this class. So in the next class we're talking about the rest of the styles also. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification icon, and watch out for a boot camp coming up soon. It's a church flyer designer boot camp. It's coming up soon. The dates will be announced in the group, so make sure you join the WhatsApp group and the Telegram group also. All right, I'll see you in the next class. Peace.